This episode is brought to you by NordVPN. You know, it's one of my favorite products, NordVPN. I use it everywhere, all over the world. So since Alistair Campbell challenged me live on stage on our UK tour to give a snappy sales pitch for NordVPN, I have to say it's only gotten better. And that's because the results speak for themselves. NordVPN gives you ultimate protection guaranteed. They've got more than 6,700 servers in 111 countries, and you can change your virtual location super easily as when you need to. And for me, I always have my location set on the United States because I love watching American football and American baseball. But you can flip it to anywhere you want. NordVPN has unmatched speed, and it's one of the fastest VPNs out there. And I've tried a few in my time, but I keep coming back to NordVPN. And it's a one-click solution for the whole family. You can use NordVPN up to 10 devices now, which makes life a lot simpler. So sign up to NordVPN today to safely access your favorite streams from home, no matter where you are. Avoid censorship and access social media platforms wherever you are in the world. How is that for a pitch? Far better than Alistair's. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal here. Visit nordvpn.com/tripus. That's nordvpn.com/tripus. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the episode description box. Use NordVPN. I use it. I love NordVPN.
Hello, and welcome to The Rest is Politics US with me, Katty K.
And I'm Anthony Scaramucci. Katty, what do you want to talk about today? Is that great, though, that the president-elect still has me on his mind 8 years later? And I also want to say this, okay? For all of you out there that say I was in the White House for 10 days, there are journalists listening to this. They do listen to this podcast. Hey, fellas, I think the president of the United States is the official scorer. And in a Truth Social tweet 48 hours ago, he said 11 days. Can we go with 11 days?
No, because the president-elect this week also says he won the popular vote by 7 million votes, which he did not. So I'm not sure if you're taking Donald Trump as your reference source for all facts.
I thought you were my partner in all this. Oh, my God. Katty, happy birthday. It's your birthday today. God bless you. You look fantastic. And so maybe at some point we'll get like a skin sponsorship on this podcast because you look great. But it's your birthday. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you because the Lambo's parked outside and the keys I know are being dropped off later this morning. So I'm very happy about that. You really didn't have to, but I am touched. That was kind of you.
Oh my God.
The birthday gods have given me the most extraordinary set of appointments from Donald Trump for his cabinet. So we are going to, in the first half of the program, let's talk a little bit about these cabinet appointments that Donald Trump has announced. Everybody thought it was going to be wacky around Donald Trump. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be quite this wacky. I've never seen almost unanimous disapproval like we have seen over the last 24 hours. So we're going to dig into some of those. And then in the second half of the program, we're going to have a think about Elon Musk and his new role in the White House and how much power he is actually going to have. But let's start with these appointments because I think I've mentioned on the program before, I've now covered 6 presidential elections, which means I've also covered 6 transitions. And I have never seen the whole of Washington go into uproar, both Republican and Democrat, in the way that they have in the last 24 hours. I think after President President and President-elect Trump, I guess he's both, after Donald Trump won the election, whatever it is, 10 days ago, feels like a lifetime ago, there was a period where the markets were doing well. The first appointments were announced. Congressman Mike Waltz for National Security Advisor, Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. And people thought things looked pretty normal. Susie Wiles, his campaign chair for Chief of Staff, low-key appointment, efficient woman, ran the campaign very well. And then just in the last day, so on Wednesday, Donald Trump announced Matt Gaetz, the congressman, for Attorney General, Tulsi Gabbard, the congresswoman from Hawaii, for Director of National Intelligence. And then the day before that, he announced Pete Hegseth, the Fox News host, for Secretary of Defense. And those 3 appointments together have completely changed the vibe in this city. And now the feeling is, particularly with Matt Gaetz, that Donald Trump has kind of gone off the deep end in terms of the kinds of people he might choose who are ultra MAGA, not with remotely the kind of qualifications you would normally assume for any of these incredibly important positions. And there are a lot of questions in this town from both Republicans and Democrats about what Donald Trump is doing and how this is actually going to work out.
Can I put people inside the melon of Donald Trump? Because obviously I'm living in there rent-free with these Truth Social comments. So let me provide some melon insight. He is the crazy uncle that sits on the couch and opines about the government and says the whole thing is screwed up and I could handle the government with a bunch of amateurs better than the professionals could handle the government. It's the same thing in an English football league, same thing in American baseball. You're sitting there as an armchair pundit and you're saying, I could do this better than these guys. These guys stink at their jobs. And so there is some of that, Katty K. Okay. And there is
the
some
disruption that he wants to be a disruptor. And he feels
there
all
is
these people are disruptors in the way that he wants to disrupt it.
You guys all suck. I tried to listen to you last time. I had Reince Priebus and Paul Ryan and establishment people in my ear. In preparation for this podcast, I listened to 3 different podcasts where the Trumpster was on there ranting and raving. And there was one where he said, well, when I won the job, I think I'd only been to Washington 17 times. And so I was relying on people to tell me who to pick. And I picked some good people, but I picked some really bad people, i.e. Mike Pompeo and Nikki Haley, right? Anthony Scaramucci, I would be in the really bad category.
Major losers, in other words.
Major losers. John Kelly.
Major loser.
Major loser, John Kelly. Look at you laughing. I would love to see the president-elect of the United States call you a major loser, Katty K. I just want to.
I'm sorry.
One tweet.
Have you called your therapist? Have you discussed it? Is it triggering a new, fresh round of little bit of insecurity?
Not at all. If anything, you know what that is? That's like a dog. You
love it.
Of course, that's like a dog poking you, okay, and asking you to throw the ball. You know what I mean? He wants me to throw the ball with him, right? That's what he wants me to do, and I'm going to do that, of course. I'm going to throw the ball with him because I can't help myself.
And if Donald Trump had sent out a tweet saying, Anthony Scaramucci, who I love dearly and is an incredible human being and a great supporter of MAGA, then you would have been unhappy.
Yes, that would have been very horrifying. I would have said, what?
No, I think the point you're making is right, that there are certain reliable themes in Donald Trump's worldview. People say he's not ideological, but actually I think on some things he is. He thinks trade deficits are bad. He thinks other countries have taken advantage of the United States. He doesn't want America to get involved in foreign conflicts. And he thinks that the administrative deep state is corrupt, overly liberal, and opposed to his agenda. And that's what some of these appointments represent.
Exactly. But there's a little bit more to it, right? I want total control. I want the sycophant of sycophants by my side, and I want them to do everything that I want to do, whatever it may be. I want total control. And so this is the stuff I was trying to tell people before this thing started. He wants to take control of this. He wants to centralize this. And he is, for some reason, capable of bullying these guys. So he rolled McConnell. That's Mitch McConnell, former Senate Majority Leader. He rolled Kevin McCarthy, whose arch nemesis is Matthew Gaetz. McCarthy and McConnell could have knocked Trump into oblivion on the 7th of January, 2021, but their knees were knocking, Katty. Their knees were knocking. They couldn't do it. And now John Thune, Senator Thune, do you kowtow and bow down to Donald Trump? Yes, I do, sir. Yes, I do. You'll have recess appointments for me? Yes, sir. Yes, I will. Roof. I mean, give me a effing break, these guys. Okay, so now what is recess appointment? Explain to people what recess appointments are, though. Go ahead.
So Senator Thune, what you're referring to is the vote that took place in the Senate to choose the next Senate Majority Leader. the pick that Donald Trump and the people around him, or at least Elon Musk, who I guess is now a proxy for Donald Trump, wanted was Senator Rick Scott of Florida, who they felt was a real MAGA person. But the senators themselves, the Republican senators picked as their leader, Senator John Thune of South Dakota, well-known figure in Washington, much more of establishment type, less of a MAGA acolyte. And what's interesting about that appointment is that when they had to vote in secret, so nobody knew who was voting for who, the senators actually defied Donald Trump, did not pick his chosen person, but picked somebody who they felt was more in line with their values. Now,
who was his chosen person, Katty K?
Senator Rick Scott.
Exactly. So Rick Scott was from Florida.
Yes.
And what they did was they reviewed all the tapes of these people since Trump left the White House. Did anybody say something negative about Donald J. Trump? And Rick Scott, he didn't say anything negative, but Thune did. Thune said, 18, you damaged us. You damaged us in 20. You damaged us in 22. You're really hurting our party. And so Trump did not want Thune, but cocaine Mitch McConnell, Mr. Turtleneck himself, with the no chin, 82 years old. He got what he wanted. He got Thune in that position. But Thune did promise Trump recess appointments. You live in Washington. Let me get the vomit bag because I don't live in Washington. While you're explaining what recess appointments are, I'm going to get the vomit bag out. Go ahead.
So senators, part of the role of the Senate per the Constitution is to give advice and counsel to the president on appointments and on cabinet appointments. And this is what the Senate usually does. The president-elect names all their cabinet appointments. The Senate goes away and deliberates, does its investigations, and comes back with a vote on each of these cabinet appointments. But Donald Trump has posted out on Twitter or Truth Social that he would like the Senate to confirm these appointments during a recess, which would mean there would not be the usual deliberations and the Senate advice process, and he could get through whoever he wants. It's a way of him getting people in through the back door because the Senate is in recess. He urgently needs to get his people in. Sorry, we don't have time for the usual process. And so he can get them in like that. Now the question is whether John Thune will agree to that. And there are some senators saying, listen, if we agree to that this time around, a massive precedent in American politics has been broken and the Senate is basically redundant because we've given away all power. There's some speculation that that's exactly what Donald Trump, that he's testing the Senate. He doesn't want the Senate, like you said about all the cabinet appointments, he doesn't want anyone against him, and he certainly doesn't want the Senate against him. So we don't know yet whether the senators will agree to these recess appointments, but let's have a chat about some of them. So should we start with Matt Gaetz, because he is the one that has all of Washington's hair on fire. I cannot find a single person who has anything nice to say about Matt Gaetz, the congressman from Florida who is currently being investigated by the Ethics Committee for sexual offenses, which include having sex with a 17-year-old, which is illegal in the United States. The Ethics Committee was due to vote on Friday about whether to release its report into Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, has, the moment he was announced as the nominee for Attorney General, he resigned his seat in Congress, so that report won't be released because the Congressional Ethics Committee has no jurisdiction against him. But I just want to read you something. This is the lovely Matt Gaetz, by the way, who has spectacular hair. Almost as good a hair as yours, I would say. I mean, there's
terrible Botox, by the way. I mean, his
worse
head
than yours?
Way worse than mine. I have light touch Botox on my forehead. Okay, I mean, this guy's he's pinned back like Joan Rivers. He's only 42. Okay, I'm 142. I know you're picking on me, but I'm 142. This SOB is only 42, but he's pinned back. He looks like he's got saran wrap on his face.
That is not the most of his problems.
No, he's a walking disaster. He's an unethical human being. And he just resigned from the Congress to prevent that information from coming out. And now the question is, will the Speaker of the House put that information out.
Yeah, will that information mysteriously leak out? Because there's no one in the House who wants him to be confirmed as Attorney General, and there is certainly no one in the Senate who wants him to be confirmed Attorney General. The thinking is that a whole bunch of names were put before Donald Trump with kind of little video montages, as you suggest, for Attorney General, which is a very important position for Donald Trump. Donald Trump sees the position of Attorney General, which is basically the nation's chief cop, as the person who is going to clean house of all of the anti-MAGA deep state stuff. Anytime that there is a whiff of a lawsuit against Donald Trump, the Attorney General can weigh in on Donald Trump's side. He's going to, by tradition, though not in the Constitution, the Attorney General is independent of the White House. Donald Trump is saying, like, screw that. I want the Attorney General to be my Attorney General. He will defend MAGA. He will defend everything I do, whether it is legal or not legal. But so that's why he wanted somebody like Matt Gaetz, who is also under investigation for sex with a minor and was even under investigation for sex trafficking of minors, also feels aggrieved, feels that he's been wrongly persecuted, feels that the justice system has been up against him. And don't you think that's why? I think that might be why Donald Trump picked him, because they're simpatico on this, that, we've been done in by the Justice Department.
Yeah, they're simpatico on this, but also when he picked Jeff Sessions, who was a establishment name, Jeff Sessions allowed for a special prosecutor to review
that's the first time around in 2016.
Russian collusion. And Trump was very upset about that. He wanted Sessions to leave.
Right.
He knows that this man will block all special prosecutors related to any potential hassle that Donald Trump could have. And so this is something that he wants to do. He wants full power over the Justice Department without any of the systems in place to make the Justice Department as neutral or as reasonable as possible. He also wants the FBI taken out of the Justice Department, and he wants it to report directly to him. And so that's a Gestapo-like thing.
Yeah.
Our producers are asking me to explain Cocaine Mitch. So let me explain that very briefly. Katty's laughing because Mitch McConnell is the dullest human being that's ever arrived in Washington.
I think that is slanderous. I don't know that you can say that. Maybe his wife likes him very much and finds him interesting.
Okay, well, I'm giving my opinion, okay? I like Mitch. I mean, I've been a supporter of Mitch's, but he's an extremely dull guy, very low-key. He has no neck. If you Google him, he's got no neck.
Also harsh.
And I'm just giving the facts
it's my
here.
Birthday. I'm feeling magnanimous.
Okay. Well, that's why I'm doing all the talking on this then. So this guy is one of the most effective senators in the history of the Senate. He's used the Senate in a way that's gotten Donald Trump 3 Supreme Court conservative justices. He's passed rules. He blocked Merrick Garland when Obama tried to put him on. And so his nickname is, because he is motionless and humorless, his nickname is Cocaine Mitch, meaning he must be on a lot of cocaine in terms of his effectiveness. So we call him Cocaine Mitch. Anyway, I just thought I would throw that in there.
Anyway, so wait, Donald Trump is getting these videos and montages of people for Attorney General, and he doesn't like anyone. And then on Wednesday morning, Trump flies up from Mar-a-Lago to Washington, D.C. to visit President Biden and the Republicans on Capitol Hill. And on the plane with him is Congressman Matt Gaetz. And the reporting that I've heard is that Matt Gaetz just got in the president's ear and managed to persuade Donald Trump on the plane journey, which is only a 2-hour plane journey, up to Washington to nominate him as Attorney General. And bang, a couple of hours later, Donald Trump announces it. Does that sound possible to you? Because
100%.
We all had thought that Donald Trump was coming in, it was much more organized and was going to be way efficient and all normal.
No, listen, I tried it your way. This is Trump's now speaking. I tried it your way, and your way sucked in 2017. Now we're going to do it my way, which is, well, I'm going to cast this thing like I cast The Apprentice. That was a successful show for me. So I'm going to have a couple of misfits. I'm going to have a couple of your types of people like Rubio. Okay. And then the question really is, though, is Susie Wiles, okay, who's his chief of staff, a late 60s year old woman, a veteran of Washington, a veteran of politics, and a very, very, very smart. And I would say, in my mind, my observation of her is she's smart and she's moderate. She's good with this. Katty K?
Well, I think Susie Wiles' genius is to let Trump be Trump, but in a way that is vaguely manageable. And I think that's what she did in the campaign. So she's going to, if Donald Trump wants Matt Gaetz, he gets Matt Gaetz. I mean, the question is whether, if this does not go to a recess appointment and the Senate does its normal job, will Matt Gaetz be confirmed? Let me read you something that Senator Mullin of Utah said about Matt Gaetz in 2023, just to give our lovely listeners a flavor of who America's next attorney general could be. We had all seen the videos he was sharing on the House floor of the girls he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED, erectile dysfunction meds, so he could go all night. That gives you a flavor of the delightful character that is Matt Gaetz, and some sense of why even this town, which is fairly unshockable, is a little bit appalled.
So far, you've done 2 reads. You've called me a total loser, and you're talking about erectile dysfunction drugs. Okay,
excellent. Is
there anything else you have to read? Because I'm interested in the next read.
So that's Matt Gaetz. Should we could move on to the others, or have you got more to say? I mean, I know that I can't tell you how many people have texted me saying, "What the."
Okay, but let me throw this out at you, okay? I don't think he gets confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he has to go through the normal process, he doesn't get confirmed.
He doesn't get confirmed. But is this like, hey, pal, I'm throwing you to the wolves because I want to get Hegseth and some of these other sort of controversial appointments through?
I don't buy, from reporters I know who have spent much more time, and I want to hear what you say on this. I don't buy that Donald Trump is playing chess with this. I mean, that's too convoluted, sophisticated an interpretation of this kind of. I just don't think that's what's going on. I think he wants Matt Gaetz. I think that's who he'd like to be his attorney general. I don't know. Do you think this is a sort of, double bluff?
No, I think he wants him. And I think if they do a Senate recess, he'll get him.
Yeah, me too.
And so the question before everybody is, how did one man, a 250-year-old institution that has systems in place, checks and balances, how did one man hijack that system? And what does it say about the leadership in that system? And what does it say about America today that there's nobody inside the system? And I just want to read something to you, okay? It's not an erectile dysfunction read or calling me a major loser, but this is from Alexander Hamilton. And I want to read it to you, okay? The Senate's power to approve or reject a president's top nominees would tend greatly to prevent the appointment of unfit characters, including those who had no merit other than that of possessing the necessary insignificance and pliancy to render them obsequious instruments of the president's pleasure.
God, how much we love Hamilton.
Such
a good writer.
How did I do with that read? Was that all right?
That was very good. The pliancy and the obsequiousness is just delicious.
Yeah, and those are his words. But his point is, hey, man, you can't put ass kissers in the cabinet who are going to do whatever the president wants. We have to have this flat, decentralized system.
That is Hamilton translated by Mr. Scaramucci.
Yes, that's my Long Island translation of Hamilton.
Look, I think what we've learned, and I really do want to get on to quickly a couple of the other appointments, but I think what we've learned is that democracy is partly laws and partly traditions and norms. And if you have somebody that is shameless, they can throw out the traditions and norms, which is chucking out a big part of what holds up democracies.
No question
I
about
do
that.
have one question for Trump, which is he has nominated in Pete Hegseth, who for the Defense Department, who has fantastic tattoos, also, by the way, very good hair, and has been a real advocate of the MAGA view and really anti-interventionist, has said he doesn't want women serving in combat positions in the military, has said that a third of America's top generals are woke, as he calls them, and need to be fired. So diehard Trumpist, his only qualification for this job is that he has served in combat. He's got 2 Bronze Stars in Iraq and Afghanistan, but his main qualification is that he defends Donald Trump on television. I do have questions about the competency of some of these people. And even from Donald Trump's own point of view, if he wants to get his agenda through, Pete Hegseth is not necessarily the most competent. Matt Gaetz is not necessarily the most competent, she says with a chuckle. And Tulsi Gabbard, who has now been proposed for Director of National Intelligence, the Congresswoman from Hawaii, I have had my phone again kind of full of people from the intelligence community saying she's never run an intelligence operation. She has no idea about intelligence. And by the way, she doesn't keep secrets. So our allies will not be sharing their secrets with us. So I'm just not sure this is the most effective group that Donald Trump, I'm trying to put this as, charitably as possible, the most effective group that Donald Trump could have chosen. What do you think about Tulsi Gabbard, by the way? I've had one conservative saying he likes her, that she's going to disrupt the intelligence community. But
let's go over each of these people, and because I actually know a lot of these people personally. You would find me in 2019 on Tulsi Gabbard's donor list. She was running for president as a Democrat, and she's a moderate Democrat. She came to speak at one of my conferences. She asked me to make a donation to her. I did. I find her to be very smart. I find her to be very capable, but there's a difference between being smart and capable in one thing, but not smart and capable in something else. And this is the problem with these billionaires, Katty. They think, well, I'm a billionaire, so I'm smart about everything, but you're actually not. There's blind spots. And you've heard me talk about The Remains of the Day, because that book is seminal for me in terms of elites thinking that they're smarter than the common person, when in fact that they're not. And whether it's Churchill or Hamilton, they would always tell you there might be madness in the crowds, which is why we have to have minority protections for the people that don't win the election. But there's also wisdom in the crowds. Okay, there is wisdom in the crowd. The crowd is telling you that the woke culture in the United States sucks, and you better knock it off because we don't like it. That's what the crowd's telling you. But you got to be very careful now, because she's not qualified for that job. Okay, Pete Hegseth is a lovely guy. I've sat on the Fox News couch with him. He's the weekend anchor at Fox News. He's written 2 books that have done quite well. He's a very smart guy. He went to Princeton. He's got an educated personality. But this is the biggest enterprise in the U.S. government. It's the biggest enterprise in the world. It has a $1 trillion budget. Okay, so it's 150 times larger than Exxon. And so, Katty, he doesn't have a executive style. He doesn't have executive management skills.
Right.
He doesn't have an executive culture. Okay, he's never run a procurement process where there's been budgets and you're now going up against these military contractors and you're trying to do the best you can for the American people. He's got some ideas. He doesn't like woke generals. Okay, and remember, I was with Trump on the day that he sent out the tweet. It was July 24th. He sent out a tweet saying, I'm revoking the transgender and the don't ask, don't tell policy for gays in the military. Okay, and that was a controversy that started in 1993, and it was 30 years of trying to get this thing right for the American military and for the culture of the American military, and in one tweet, he was revoking it. Okay, and I went to Trump, I said, you can't do that. You didn't even call Mattis. He got mad at me for saying that. Why do I need to call Mattis? I said, well, he's got a $1 trillion organization that he's running. They put this in process over 30 years. So these people think they're going to come in and change these things. Katty, you live in that town. Okay,
super hard to change.
These things have immunological responses. That antigen's going to come in, and it's going to be rejected as a foreign organism.
I think Hegseth's going to be just way over his head. One thing we should tell our listeners about Tulsi Gabbard is that Tulsi Gabbard, during the Syrian war, suddenly popped up in Damascus for a meeting with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad without having informed anyone in Washington, D.C. I mean, this is just not the way American foreign policy works. You don't just freelance. And then she said, well, Assad has got, is not an enemy of the United States. She has been criticized for being overly sympathetic to Vladimir Putin. She kind of perpetrated a sort of conspiracy theory that American funded biolabs existed in Ukraine, and that's why the Russians had some kind of justification for invading the country. She suggested that it was actually NATO and America's fault for not listening to Putin's concerns, and again, was that kind of justification seemed to be justifying Vladimir Putin. So there are a lot of, you go from the one extreme of people saying she's a stooge and potentially an asset of Russia in Washington to others saying she just doesn't understand the intelligence community and is a threat to the intelligence community because of the way she freelances. Anyway, so those pics have had the whole city up in a kind of complete flurry of knickers in their twists. Everyone's got their knickers in a twist over those. I think the way we should cover Donald Trump, having covered him for 4 years and got kind of exhausted by doing so, the first time around is the important thing is to cover what Donald Trump does, not what Donald Trump says. And hyperventilating about every tweet he puts out is not very helpful to us or to the American public or to our listeners around the world. But who he nominates is an indication of his policies and his worldview and what he wants to do. And that's why we've spent the first half of this program talking about what are really quite extraordinary picks for his cabinet. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back to talk about Elon Musk and Doge and how billionaires are running the show.
Katty, happy birthday again. We're going to talk about Elon Musk in this episode.
Can we say that just every few minutes?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like it. What are you doing for your birthday, by the way? Your kids are coming over or what's going on?
Yeah, my daughter has flown in because it's unfortunately a rather big birthday. So my daughter has flown in from Chicago, which is very nice. And she is, she's an astrophysicist, but who's also a very good pastry chef. So I have high hopes for dessert tonight at dinner because I'm hoping that she's going to bake me something rather special. And I have a terrible sweet tooth, so that will be good. And my son, who lives in DC, is going to be here too. And then I have a few friends coming for dinner. And that's it.
I'm thrilled for you. And I've met your children. You got great kids. God bless you. And it's a big 6-0 for you. Okay.
Thank you
and
for
I love the
everybody.
fact. Oh, but I love the fact that you own that. 660 is the new 40. God bless you.
It's good.
And you look great.
We're both there, and we're going to be doing fine.
Yeah,
so
well, I'm turning 61, which is coming in a couple months.
I won't be sending you a Lamborghini, but I will be sending you a new T-shirt because that one is abysmal.
You don't like this, Katty?
I don't like that.
This is referring to all of our production people. Okay, this is
no. You can't. You cannot have a Christmas. Anthony, for those of you who are listening, is wearing a T-shirt that starts with "Dear Santa" on it. It's November the 14th. I know what day it is. You can't wear Christmas T-shirts before December.
God. Oh my God, this British protocol is upsetting to me. I feel like it's Christmas every day.
Let's talk about somebody else who thinks that it's Christmas every day.
Who, that Elon Musk?
Yes.
So, Katty, can I give my 30-second narrative and get your reaction? Go. Trump is going to knock him right through the ropes. He's already sick of him. He doesn't want him taking any credit for his electoral success. He doesn't want him hanging out at Mar-a-Lago anymore. The Office of Doge, Department of Governmental Efficiency, it has to be established by the Congress. Okay, so you can have a Simpson Bowles, and those of you who don't know what that is, it was a commission that Barack Obama put together about 10 years ago and basically had a Republican and a Democrat and said, okay, make some efficiency recommendations for the government. They made them. People looked at them and said, okay, we're going to throw those in the garbage. And so Doge, Department of Governmental Efficiency, is literally knocking out Vivek and knocking out Elon. Tell me I'm wrong.
So that's a great way of thinking about it because I've been wondering that. There's been a lot of questions about and sort of people getting in a froth about the idea that suddenly the American government has been taken over by billionaires who are going to have a huge amount of influence over the way that contracts are distributed, a way that investigations into their own corporations are conducted, and that Elon Musk will actually do what he said he wants to do, which is cut $2 trillion from US government spending. But I'm kind of with you that this Doge, Department of Government Expenditure, whatever, is that what it's called? Efficiency, Department of, I can't even remember what it's about. Doge. Yeah, that this Department of Government Efficiency is like any other commission. It's not a department. That's a joke. You can't just suddenly invent a department just because you want there to be one. And the saying in Washington is always, if you want to make sure something goes and dies a death and never comes to see the light and nothing ever happens, create a commission. And that's effectively what this is. But I do think Elon Musk's role in government, to the extent that there is a role, is worth exploring because it is incredibly unusual. In fact, I just can't think of another situation in which you've had somebody with his wealth and his interests in government contracts having the kind of access and influence he's even had up until now in the transition process. Do you think there is, are we going to be looking at one of the more corrupt administrations in American history, do you think?
Well, it's starting that way. So the question is McConnell and Thune, are they going to block it? Or is McConnell and Thune going to step in? Is Trump going to get impeached again? He's been impeached twice. Is he going to get impeached again? Now you say, no, how could he, Anthony? They've got a 2-year mandate, meaning he owns the Republican House and he owns the Senate. But will it be too egregious? Will they get together? Because, Katty, I know a lot of these senators. I write checks to these people. They hate the guy's guts. They hate him. And then they go out and say, oh, we're with Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. And then he humiliates them. And then they go home and tell their wives, man, I really hate this guy. So is the bubble going to burst? Or does he have a 2-year mandate?
So Elon Musk, who has multiple different companies, in a way, it seems to me, has the American government over a little bit of a barrel because the US Department of Defense relies heavily on Starlink and SpaceX for a lot of its work, getting astronauts to the International Space Station, getting stuff put up into space, getting stuff taken down from space. And because Boeing tried to compete and failed, Starlink and SpaceX is kind of all the US has at the moment to do that work, which is why he's had $10 billion worth of government contracts over the last 10 years. But there are also all of these investigations and lawsuits against him. I think over 20 investigations and lawsuits into various bits of his company, particularly around environmental concerns. Because, for example, I think SpaceX launches from next to a national park in Texas, and the Environmental Protection Agency is investigating SpaceX for destroying the habitat of a bird species in that park. And Elon Musk is kind of pissed off with the amount of red tape and the amount of regulations around his businesses. He famously says he can build a rocket to get to Mars quicker than a functionary in the EPA can push a piece of paper across his desk. So is there still, whatever happens to Donald Trump in the next 2 years, is there room here for Elon Musk to, I don't know, cut the regulations that impinge on him, get favorable treatment for his companies? What do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to flat out answer that and say no.
He can't do it? That's interesting.
Can't do it. And let me explain why. He's the current teacher's pet.
Yeah.
When I got hired into the White House, Kellyanne Conway said, be careful. You're going to be the teacher's pet for 2 weeks. Everyone in the room is going to hate you because you're now Trump's new toy. He's going to invite you on Air Force One. He's going to want you to do this. He's going to want you to do that. Be careful. And I was trying to be careful, but of course I blew myself up. 11 days later, I was fired. Elon Musk has exhausted Donald Trump's attention now.
But how do you know that? Because he's hanging around still in Mar-a-Lago.
Because I know, because I know the personality.
Trump, apparently he's there at every meal and he's getting standing. Okay. He got a standing ovation in Congress this week. And Trump was like, my buddy Elon.
I got the election wrong, but I did get the departure of Joe Biden right. And I'm telling you, I know Trump. Okay. I know the son of a bitch. He is done with Elon Musk. Okay. And so Elon Musk, the Doge thing puts him on ice.
Right.
He can't get close enough to the government. You live in that town. You know the immunological system of that town. They're going to reject Elon Musk. Okay. And once Trump signals to guys like Gaetz and Hegseth that he's done with Elon Musk, Elon Musk is going to be on the outs. Okay. And by the way, there's a knife fight going on right now, Katty. There's a knife fight. I know this from people that talk to
Is
me.
this
okay?
is this you jabbing your pen and simulating a knife fight?
Jabbing. There's a knife fight going on. Okay. Susie's fighting with people on the transition team. They're backbiting each other. They're backstabbing each other. They're leaking on each other. Okay. And Trump is enjoying it. Trump is enjoying it. Okay. And so what will happen? There's a fight right now going on about the Treasury Secretary. We'll have to see who wins it. I hope Scott Bessent wins it, frankly, because I think he's the Mnuchin-like safe pair, low drama hands. Okay. It's not that I dislike Howard Lutnick, but Howard Lutnick is too much like Donald Trump. And what will end up happening is they will bash each other's skull in with lots of high drama. Bessent is not that.
Musk is, the richest man in the world, famously. And it's not just Musk. He brings with him all of his cohort of kind of Silicon Valley billionaires who put money into getting Donald Trump elected and now expect something in return. I don't know that you can just suddenly say to Musk, sorry, I'm done with you, sit on that commission and I'm not going to listen to you, because Musk helped get Donald Trump elected. The guy's as rich as Croesus. I mean, he's not going to go quietly into the good night.
But that's another story. Okay, you have to. Hello, President Biden. Could you please explain to me why you cut Elon Musk out of the electric vehicle summit when he's making the most electric?
Yeah, that was a little. That's apparently. So what I love about Elon Musk is what a baby he is. That he's offended still that he was cut out of an electric vehicle summit by Joe Biden in 2021. He's offended that in 2020 California had shut down restrictions around COVID, and so he had to move Tesla factories out of California. I mean, this guy he's just like Donald Trump. I mean, he holds grudges.
Yeah. So I think, and I'm going to make a prediction right here on the Rest is Politics US, Elon Musk will be a Democrat by 2028. You think
he
I'm
was
wrong?
a Democrat? No, I think there's a strong chance.
I think he's going to be like, hey, Mooch.
He could swing back again.
Mooch, you were right about these crazy people. Okay, I really think he's going to do that. Okay, so can we go to Vivek if you don't mind?
Yeah, can I say one more thing about Elon Musk? Because he's been hanging around in Mar-a-Lago with his 4-year-old son, who he's been kind of, showing off to everybody as well. Do you know what his 4-year-old son is called?
I don't.
Oh, pop quiz time.
I don't know, like Apple, or like these people name people like weirdly. So go ahead, what is it like?
So it's Greek kind of letters, and it's pronounced, but you can all look it up, X-A12, but he's known as X.
The son is called X?
Tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, but that's why he's worth $250 billion, and that's why I'm worth no. That's why I'm worth no billion.
No billions, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, who is a friend of yours, right? You know him.
I like him. Okay. And I would consider him an acquaintance. I wouldn't say we're close enough yet to be friends, but we have good chemistry together on these shows. He's quite civil to me. I'm quite civil to him.
Remind us how he made his money.
Yeah. So he's been a tech, a venture capital, and a biotech entrepreneur. He's probably worth $300 or $400 million, according to his financial disclosures that he filed with the FEC.
So he's kind of poor compared to Elon.
He's poor compared to Elon, but he's very rich compared to the rest of the world. And he's a young man that's done very well. He's very thoughtful. There was something on X the other day, which I listened to. It was him speaking at his high school graduation at age 18. And he was very put together. He's a very thoughtful guy. He's a mature guy for his age. Now, the people that don't like him, and there'll be people listening to this podcast that don't like him, say that he's sent out a little bit of misinformation. They sent out some lies. He's a politician. When do politicians lie, Katty K? When their mouths are moving. Okay, that's when politicians lie. And so you can't expect somebody to not lie who's a politician. And so he has a little bit of that in his personality. But I generally think he's a smart guy, family guy. And again, I'm going to disagree with him on a lot of different things. This whole deportation thing and the rescission of birthright citizenship is an unmitigated disaster for the country. He's for it, which I'm shocked by. And I'll just point out to people that love business here in America and love the culture here in America, America for 200 years has been a welcome mat for the rest of the world. If you start revoking birthright citizenship, and apparently they're going to sign an executive order on January 20th.
I've heard that too.
To revoke it. So what does that mean? If you're born to a woman your mom is not here appropriately or she's here illegally, and you were born here, well, you know what? You're not a citizen. You don't have the rights of a citizen. I think that's going to be a disaster for the country. And I think these people don't understand when you do things like that, you scare people. Very poor people come to this country and get rich. Sergey Brin, Elon Musk.
Yes. Elon Musk.
This
is the irony of this, right?
You want these people to come.
Either an immigrant or the son of immigrants who are
100%
on this anti-immigrant thing. How do you see Elon Musk, by the way, and Vivek Ramaswamy getting on together as heads of Doge? And it doesn't escape me. The irony of this doesn't escape me that you're getting two people to run one department that's committed to efficiency, but that's kind of by the by. So how do they get on?
Well, I think Vivek is a very smart EQ sort of a person. He'll let Musk run the pack. He knows his future. He wants to be a politician in his future. He sees himself as a future president. He'll want to have a good relationship with Elon Musk. They'll get along well. But will they get anything done? And the answer to that is they will absolutely not get anything done. Will the U.S. Congress set up another cabinet position like they did for the Department of Homeland Security after 9/11, called the Department of Governmental Efficiency? I believe they will not do that. Now, I could be wrong about that, but you tell me, Katty, you live in that town. These people don't like things like that.
No, I mean, and anyway, half the things that they want to do with the Department of Government Efficiency, cutting the amount of spending they want to cut, and cutting the number of employees they would like to cut. And by the way, I love this idea that, you can send them a note and tell them what you think should be cut. That's kind of like going to lead to their inboxes being completely inundated, which presumably somebody will have to look at, which sounds sort of inefficient to me. But I reached out to somebody who understands the workings of Senate appropriations and things much better than I do, who's got a long history of working on the Hill around these things. And she told me that actually you'd have to have 60 votes to turn those recommendations anyway into action, because you can't do them through the parliamentary procedure that's known as reconciliation. That's not what that applies to. And they're just not going to get the 60 votes. So the two of them are going to kick their heels, I think, for 2 years and produce this report. And let's see what actually happens to it. Can I? And we'll see what actually happens to it. So Elon Musk, still a big figure. Anthony thinks he's already on the outs. My sense is he's still got some credit in the bank of Donald Trump, but the prospect of these two huge egos
gonna get a Truth Social. He's gonna be a major loser sometime in his presidency.
I don't know about if he's going to be a major loser, because he is so rich and he funded Donald Trump's campaign so much and helped him win Pennsylvania that let's see whether he actually gets the major loser treatment.
See, you know what the beauty of all this is? The only thing that might save the country, Katty K, is these people will all destroy each other. Okay, because of the nature of these people. And so that self-destruction will slow down the grind that they're going to try to put on the American people.
I spoke to somebody who's kind of senior in the intelligence side in the House, an ex-CIA, who said to me, is it better that we have incompetent people who can't carry out the vision, or competent people who can carry out the vision? And the jury is kind of out on that. But we're looking at the moment at quite a lot of incompetence.
Season 2 of the Trump presidential episodes gonna be as bad and as chaotic as season 1, Katty K.
It's gonna be crazy. We are in for a wild, wild ride, and we hope that you will stay with us on the ride. We'll see you next week on The Rest is Politics US. And for those of you who are founding members, thank you again for your support. And we've got a special episode for you, a bonus episode on Saturday where we will take your questions. And you can sign up to be a founding member of The Rest is Politics US on restispoliticsus.com. Come and join us.
Happy birthday, Katty K. We'll see you guys next week.
We will see you next week on The Rest is Politics US.